Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus with another bit of donation deck list from our control aficionado Space Marine wanting to test out some interesting cards from Throne of Eldraine in Modern. As a friendly reminder, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, leaving a constructive comment down below, as normally we aim to be the most informative lightning bolt based channel here for Modern on YouTube. However, we're taking a control to play some blue and white cards today. Brought to you by a donation list from Space Marine. As always, if you wish to see a donation deck list played, there's a couple different ways. I'll be updating that information here coming up shortly as I redo the Patreon such stuff and such. But primarily usually through Patreon or through a donation on the main page on YouTube. You can send a $10 donation and send me a message either through that or through the email mtgotavern@gmail.com, what list you'd like to see played. Space Marine pays $10 a month on Patreon, which enables him to see a deck list every month. So this is an Esper control list, noticeably devoid of planeswalkers and based around attempting to try out the card Drown in the Loch. This is kind of a split card of a counterspell that can be the counterspell that control was looking for, combined with the ability to be a removal spell in certain spots against most creatures in the format. So the key thing in this is it relies on its controller's graveyard. So, for instance, if you have a Tarmogoyf, if your opponent has a Tarmogoyf, if they have 2 or more cards in their graveyard, you can kill it. If your opponent has a Liliana the Veil and they have 3 cards in their graveyard, you can counter it with Drown in the Loch. So this is a split card that's a removal and counterspell. Very powerful. 2 mana, obviously a little bit much for Modern in certain regards, but still pretty powerful overall. To that end, playing Thought Scour in place of normal cantrips like Serum Visions or Opt. New things beyond that. You're also playing things like Mystic Sanctuary here to return cards to the top of your library. Obviously, instants and sorceries. This can be an untap land if you have other islands in play, which includes your islands, your hallowed fountains, your copies of Watergrave here. Beyond that, you got some man lands, and the only other notable new cards are the inclusion of Into the Story, which once again kind of relies on the graveyard. This allows you to potentially draw 4 cards. Fortunately, it's instant speed, so it plays with the rest of your deck, which is largely a flash-ish deck other than Supreme Verdict. You got cards like Esper Charm, Kaya's Guile, Force of Negation, kind of your mid-game package here in addition to Cryptic Command, and then Secure the Wastes and Sphinx's Rev is kind of your waste to close out the game. Secure the Wastes is probably your primary kill con in addition to the Snapcaster Mages. And your man lands, Logic Gnaw is another counterspell to go with Drown in the Loch, Force of Negation, Cryptic Command. Notably only 4 Path to Exile, no Fatal Pushes in this list. Drown in the Loch hopefully supplements that. Obviously, if your opponent brings in things like Rest in Peace, or if you're forced to bring in any type of graveyard hate, you might have it in your list. That's why if you'll notice when we get to the sideboard, we're not running Rest in Peace. And beyond that, 2 copies of Spell Snare, because Spell Snare has kind of been on the uptick in the format. Hits a lot of key cards out of a lot of key decks. Anything from Infect to Urza to Burn. Spell Snare is a very valuable card. In this deck, we're not quite as vulnerable to it, but being our main thing is Snapcaster Mage to win the game, we are a little bit vulnerable to Snapcaster Mage getting hit by a Spell Snare. Beyond that, the sideboard's a little bit interesting. Ashiok is our graveyard hate of choice. This serves as a couple of purposes. Allows you to have overlap in matchups against like Tron and Valakut, keeping your opponent from searching their library. Allows you to not get rid of your own graveyard for your Snapcaster Mages. And is a little bit awkward with Drown in the Loch against the decks that you're trying to use this card, leverage this card. Doesn't eliminate their graveyard, but obviously if you're playing against decks like Dredge, etc., you don't mind their graveyard going bye-bye. Dovin's Veto as kind of your more upgraded negates in some of the grindier matchups. 2 copies of Kalitas here, pretty decent against aggro decks and graveyard decks. The Disdainful Stroke against the big mana decks. Celestial Purge has a lot of targets in the format, although it's a little less powerful than it was a couple months ago with the decline of Phoenix and Dredge. Timely Reinforcements for pretty much decks like Burn, Stony Silence for decks like Urza, Hardened Scales and such, and then Generous Gift, an interesting card. Generally, control decks don't necessarily have issues dealing with a 3-3, though it is risky giving your opponent a 3-3. It does allow you to answer problematic things like planeswalkers and such, which usually are a little bit harder to answer out of these control decks in Modern once they resolve than they are things like Standard in formats like Standard, but still an interesting 2 of to give a try in the sideboard. That said, let's hop into some matches. So one big thing everybody will notice if you're actually paying attention to the screen is I have picked up some copy of some glasses. It's finally necessary to get a visual upgrade. Sand, unfortunately, is a mulligan with only 1 land. Otherwise, obviously seems very powerful. This hand's a little bit better. Not a lot of early interaction, but still I think a reasonable keep. As far as cards we get rid of here, I think the card... It's probably Thought Scour or Esper Charm here. I think I might go with Thought Scour for now. It doesn't allow us to leverage any style of whatever's going on over there. So it looks like we're up against Red-White Prison, perhaps. Fortunately, if we get Blood Moon here, this is going to be a very short match, or a very short game at least. Does look like that is certainly a possibility. Yep, turn 1 Blood Moon seems fair. Tormenting Voice, interesting. Go ahead and hold that up. Fortunately, if we had Drown in the Lock, we could counter a Blood Moon this turn, potentially. But this is a Chalice, I'm not sure I particularly care. Yep, sure. Does limit our ability to get a black source in the face of Blood Moon. But this does enable us to have Cryptic Command up next turn. So, unfortunately, we're probably going to get Chandra this turn. Do I honestly care that much about Chandra here? Sarkhan. Sure. Do I want to draw 2 cards, or do I want to force them to discard 2 cards? I think denying them the resources is more important right now. I guess they just had a couple lands in play. Go ahead and run this out. We can Cryptic Command whatever their play is this turn. Chandra. Counter target spell. Turn target permanent to its owner's hand. This would help if we actually fetched a island first here. Counter target spell. So we'll hold up Cryptic Command with the ability to Esper Charm them this turn. Snap Esper Charm, that is. depending on what threat they try to run back out in this. Do I care about that? Don't think so. I think we snap Esper Charm and then go ahead and kill it between... Oh, I don't have another black source, so I can't do that. Seems foolish. Still think we snap Esper Charm here. Devoid them of resources. Target player discards 2 cards. Get rid of their hand. Tormenting Voice, and should have been a little bit more careful with my mana, but I think over a couple turns we should be able to control this Sarkon. Path to Exile not being terribly relevant here, obviously. In the face of Chalice of the Void. Yep, don't care. Okay. Just another land, sure. Red for 2, not huge, but reasonable. Kaya's Guile is fine. Sure. Guess we get to see what they do with us here. Card on bottom, sure. Another Cryptic Command should pretty much lock this game up here. Pass turn. Don't want to burn too much time on this game. Drown in the Lock is an interesting one. Merry Christmas. Turn Revelation to the top of our deck. Should put us far enough ahead on cards that our opponent concedes. Chalice of the Void on to just an oiling enough that we probably won't encounter it. I think my only issue with this deck is a severe lack of closing power. With you don't draw your one of Secure the Waste pretty much. And opponent scoops. Alright, so We're up against Blood Moon deck. Hmm. Show us the Void. Anywho, Purge is going to be good. Stony Silence, Generous Gift might be reasonable. Dovin's Vetoes are a necessary evil. They'll be bringing in, if they don't already have, creatures. They did show us Nahiri, which means probably they have an Emrakul package. Spell Snare is okay, but not great against them. They have like Tormenting Voice and some of the removal spells, so I'll probably cut one of those. I'm going to cut a Drown and Lock because there's a good chance they're bringing in specifically Rest in Peace. Kalitas doesn't really up the clock a whole lot. Might want to bring in copies of Generous Gift here to have more outs. Go down. Go down like a Supreme Verdict. Maybe a copy of Thought Scour. See how the curve looks right now. Guile isn't great, but we'll leave one in, and then yeah, just leave the rest the way it is. Maybe I should cut it like one Path to Exile, but I really don't want to die to like a fast Goblin Rabble Master or something. Like I said, their package tends to indicate that they are. Yeah, this hand's keeping 7, which is very scary from their side of the equation. Cannot get a white source that is not vulnerable to Blood Moon, but a good portion of our hands are going to die to a fast Blood Moon, so Guile gives us an out to Hot Scour, not great here, but we're definitely going to go ahead and do this. Maybe we'll disincentivize them from playing a 2-drop here, since we showed them. I don't know, did we actually show them? Okay. Kind of annoying that I have to do this now, but alright, it says Cure the Waste and Esper Charm, kind of annoying. It's possible I should have Thought Scoured them. Force of Negation's a pretty good card to have here. Drown the Lock, probably should have Thought Scoured them. Chalice. Feels like it could be Blood Moon time. Or just a Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace. Do I care about Rest in Peace? It does make one of our primary ways of winning the game a lot harder. I think I just gotta let this one go for now. Spell Snare obviously isn't great. Kaya's Guile gives us an answer to any type of creature threat. They could have dragons with Sarkon in their deck. Nahiri. Counter target spell. Would like to return the Rest in Peace, but then there we go. That makes things much more palatable. One of the big problems with our opponent's deck, specifically against control decks, is the fact that they struggle to cast multiple meaningful spells a turn. So, I think if they do nothing, we're just going to blow up the Rest in Peace. That slowly unlocks Drown in the Lock, possibly. Kaya's Guile's not great, but it does give us answer to dragons and goblins. Also, ironically, gives us an answer to an Emrakul off of Nahiri Ultimate. So, Kaya's Guile as a 1-of seems fine in this particular game. Probably don't want more than one copy. Obviously, Path to Exile seems like a deadish card. So, be interesting to see what our opponent's game plan is here. This unfortunately doesn't unlock Spell Snare. So, could our opponent possibly have here? Lightning Helix, yeah, I don't really care about that card. Does give me a bit of vulnerability to guess we allow this to resolve. Trigger is on the stack. Cast a Snapcaster Mage. Target Esper Charm. Philip, rest in peace. Sure, get to exile your graveyard. Oh, going for the sneaky, sneaky Bloodman play. Impressive. Discarding Spell Snare. Okay. Okay. Opponent was able to double spell there, which is kind of annoying, but... Okay. Chandra, huh? Fortunately, Chandra is going to resolve. Just Revelation for 1 billion. I have no counter spells, so is it worth just killing their stinking Chandra here? I think it is. They have 1 card remaining in hand. Two cards now. What you got here, friend? Another Blood Moon would obviously be in... Oh, Lava Coil, sure, whatever. Pass turn. Since exposing myself to any unnecessary things right now. And opponent scoops. Head into the storage, draw a bunch of cards. Cryptic Command pretty much well locked up. Anyways, that's it for match number 1. Back for match number 2 on the draw. I mean, I guess we keep this hand, but it is definitely a gamble, so go ahead and keep it. Control Mirror, a little less of a gamble now. Alright, so blue-white control-ish. Okay. This is more of a time gamble than anything else here. passes. Really want to hit another land drop here. That'd be great. And of course we can have a land drop. And another land drop. So, what do I do here? Dot scour you. Still don't hit a land. We are in some trouble now. So we take the shield down for a turn, hope and pray. Earth are starting to realize that I am running low on lands here. Sure. At least I didn't have to discard. That's a positive, I suppose. Of course you have a Teferi. Why wouldn't you, right? Alright, moving on. Might have been incorrect to concede there, but we were very, very far behind. And missing land drops is usually the death sentence in the control mirrors, so... Purge doesn't do much. Could potentially bring in those. Board out those. Kaya's Guile really makes me want to board out all my sweepers and such. I suppose they could have copies of Monastery Mentor, but I think between Drown and Lock and such, I'm not supposed to do that. Could bring in Kalidas, but I just really want to blank all of their removal if at all possible. So bring in the Ashioks. Kind of hope to mill them out, I guess. Like I said, might have been a premature concession there, but it did feel like we were in some trouble. So, hopefully we hit a land drop here. Probably should have actually shocked that in. Okay. Pass. Okay. It's like, why are you... Of course we miss a land drop. So, game over? Question mark. Sure. Looks like they're still going to try to slam a Planeswalker here. Teferi? Goodbye. How are you paying... I was going to say, how are you paying any costs when it's your turn? Sure. Now we really die. Now we might have a chance to get back in this game if we run off some lands. Sweet. Seems likely they have a force of negation somewhere in their pile of stuff. Jeez, huh? Sure. Fortunately, we have no way to really leverage what's going on over there. But I'm gonna. Phenomena. Hopefully they don't have spell snare. If they do, we're in some trouble. Really? Just pass turn. Okay. Guess we should have done that before combat. That's a pretty good one. Alright. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. You have another counterspell? Esper Charm. Just leave my chump blocker home, because I think in the longer game I might be advantaged now. As long as I can start drawing lands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure. Draws me 2 cards either way, but this uses all my mana this turn, so even if they have something like a Spell Pierce. Interesting. Still no way to answer whatchamacallit. Actually, yeah. We're close to setting up a way to set it up, anyway. Okay, it's unfortunate. Draw 2 cards. Okay. Nope. Still not the greatest position in the world. Way too many cards and not enough stuff to do. Yeah, no, not that one. That one's not resolving. Okie dokie, what you got, friendo? Sure. It's like, what is the point of this? Sure. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost. Okay, Duvin's Veto, sure. What are the 2 cards you're trying to protect? Spell Snare and Cryptic Command, sure. Ooh, it's a land drop. Yay! Okay. Cryptic command, sure. The circle of life. Alright, so grab another white source. Do the thing. Drown in the lock. Drown in the lock. Kill you. Start to do the thing. Should have left off Dovin's veto here. Sure. Get rid of Esper Charm. Did you hit a thing? Apparently you did not. I'm gonna just leave the... Do we leave the colonnade in hand, or do we play out the colonnade? Guess we just play out the colonnade here. Sure. Down to 19 cards in library. Sure. You just suddenly realize I had a Celestial Colonnade in play? Still no reason to change the strategy here. Okay, sure. Huh. So just get rid of Secure the Wastes here. Okay, down to 6 cards in your library. Nothing in your graveyard. Sure. I mean, float a white mana. Sure. Okay. Sure. Okay. Don't think that worked how they wanted it to. Merry Christmas. Here, Baneslayer Angel. How pretty. Okay. And the opponent scoops. Cool. Didn't really sideboard all that different than we expected them to. The circle of life. Yeah, still don't think I'm interested in our copies of Kalidas. Purge obviously doesn't do anything. Path to Exile, Drawn in Lock's fine. For answering most of that, Kaya's Guile kind of cleans up the rest. Trying to think if there's anything else we'd be interested in bringing in. Cletus obviously could potentially run away with the game, but it's a 4-mana sorcery spell that we're still trying to resolve, which isn't the easiest. I think we just click submit and go. Is double tap land on the draw good enough? I guess since we're on the draw, we'll try to keep it, but this hand is also risky at not hitting enough land drops, so. Alright, that gives us sufficient ones to at least work with. Hopefully they do not have Monastery Mentor here, because if they do, we could be in some trouble. No black mana could be problematic. Nope, no Teferi for you. Land, please. That is not a land. Opponent could easily have Force of Negation here, so no reason to run face first into that. These 3 cards are currently dead. Ooh, Revelation for 1. Yay! Alright, apparently I just want want to mimic our opponent's land base here. Okay. Do I discard here? I guess we'll discard an Esper Charm. So, I guess we have to try to run out the Snapcaster Mage here. Sure. Unfortunately, that means this is going to resolve, so... Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, sure. Come on, deck, give me a non-spell snare card. So they could have Force of Negation easily here. Okay. That one's mildly annoying. This lack of black mana was really coming back to bite us this game. Yeah, no, let's just move along here. That was kind of annoying. Yeah, we weren't drawing anytime soon. Alright, it's unfortunate to lose the control mirror, but he who misses land drops loses, so on to match number 3. Alright, we're back here for match number 3. Be on the play this time, which is nice. Keep this hand, but once again, risky due to issues with mana again. That's why I always preach to Space Marine, you want 23, 24 lands, but, you know, I'm just the miser here. Only getting to 5, so Tron maybe? Death Shadow, perhaps? Yeah, looks like Death Shadow. Play that out. Pass. So... Tassiger. Sure. Not sure if this is... Looks like it just might be Grixis Control. Interesting. Strand the Lock's not currently doing anything. Maybe I was just supposed to shock this in. Or our opponent can keep Royal Scions. Interesting. Delver. Okay. Spell Snare could be good here. Potentially. Some type of Grixis deck. Royal Scions. Hope this doesn't resolve. Okay. Not that my cryptic command didn't resolve, but that the Lilian itself didn't resolve. Don't know why I have a song from the Muppets stuck in my head. Oh yeah, I do. I can blame my girlfriend for that one. Alright. Do wonder if you don't want more copies of Force of Negation. Inquisition, huh? Think I gotta let this resolve, don't I? Because if I just run Snapcaster Mage out there, I mean, I could try to counter it this way, but drown in the lock. Phenomena. Counter target spell. There we go. Get to resolve what? Inquisition here? Not a terribly big deal. I'm not 2 for 1-ing myself, so. Sure. Okay, take the Force of Negation. Esper Charm. Show target player discards 2 cards. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and attack first. See if they take the trade. White, blue, black. Those last 2 cards out of your hand. Dreadbore and the Royal Scions. Really? Okay. Player discards a card. Guess we get rid of Spell Snare. Okay. So our opponent's seriously considering scooping to a Celestial Colonnade activation. Okay. Grixis Royal Scion Delver. Does make things interesting. Please don't be like a Jace or something. Sure. Guess we're deploying that. So we have the land advantage. Stop drawing spells. Yeah, that's a good one. Ish. So if I Esper Charm myself, what could I draw that I wouldn't want to do in response to my opponent's... does my opponent even have anything that can flash back at the moment? Thought Scour, I guess. Eh. I think I'd rather just hold up my land activations, honestly. Okay. Target player discards 2 cards. Tarpit and Delver. I think I'm going to try to bait the Thoughtseize. Okay. Alright, tax me cast instant or sorcery. Alright, sure. Why are those bill abilities both plus abilities? Seems most redonkulous. Okay. Dreadhold Arcanist Control-ish. So what card would I want to put back on top of my deck? I guess Cryptic Command? Maybe Into the Story? Yes, I'd like to put that back on top of my deck. Has looting potentially available. Sure. Okay. And this is going to feel really bad if they happen to draw a removal spell they could actually cast here, but please don't. There we go. Can't cast Into the Story this turn, so maybe I was supposed to land and play as a out to Liliana here. Think you're dead, friend. I mean, you know the card in my hand, so I don't know what's taking so long to make that decision over there. Okay, that's mildly annoying. Here comes Tasker. Alright, Force of Negation. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think we do the old activate Celestial Colonnade. Could still end up losing this game. It's kind of annoying. I said maybe I wasn't supposed to play that island out. Still not seeing a lot of things to kill a 4/4. Okay, hopefully it's not a stubborn denial. Alright. Guess that they technically had Fatal Push. Okay. 5 lands, sure. Activate, sure. Give you a... what am I looking for here? Give you an Arcanist. Okay. open to sideboarding. Definitely want the purges. Probably interested in the Kalidases here. The question becomes, what are we not interested in? The vetoes have their place, potentially, given the cards that don't make sense. Problem is, all the cards in the deck make sense. So, get rid of Logic Knot. Let's leave out the Kalidases, I guess. This doesn't appear they have a whole lot. I mean, I guess on the draw I'll bring in one Kalidus, but I don't think it's particularly a card that I'm interested in. Potentially go down a couple spell. Sorry. Okay. Snapcasters, Cryptic Commands. I guess we can potentially trim a Cryptic and try it like that. It's the problem with these, like, Sand could be fine. Obviously it's vulnerable to discard spells, but Purge being our only answer, especially if they have a turn 1 Delver, which it looks like they might. Of course they do. Force of Negation with no card to pair with it. This hand's a bit of a train wreck. It's an interesting combo. Means you play a certain subset of cards that can leave you in trouble against things like Colonnade. It's really interesting. Let's see what our opponent's got here. Maybe a Dreadhorde Arcanist. Okay, the Arcanist definitely needs to die. Purge it. Purge it with fire. Still, this Delver could end up being the enormous pain in the donkey that we don't need to face. Okay. Royal Scions. Feels like this could be a Royal Scions post-combat. Another Delver. Okay, so they have... Did they reveal? Lightning Bolt. Okay, I don't particularly care about Lightning Bolt. Yeah, let's no Delverino nonsense like that. Oh, deck, give me an answer. That is sort of an answer, but I could also be dead here, so... Is the answer Jam, Kalitas, and Prey? Because there's a decent chance I could be dead here if they have bolts. Alright. The Royal Scions. It's going to put me to 2. Which obviously is... Okay. Would have figured they would have... Plus to deal more damage, but I guess they're more interested in digging for cards. Okay, Inquisition. Definitely a chance we could die here. This Path to Exile doesn't resolve, we could be in some trouble. Okay. What you got there, friend? Sure. Sure. Okay, well, there's one of their fatal pushes. So... my hand was Garbo at the time. Alright, so... if I let my tap wrong... So snap path this... Go ahead and path that Delver while I can. Don't want that thing sticking around. It's possible I should just be trying to shorten the game instead of worrying about these Scions. Their loyalty is so insanely high. Sure. Sure. Puts me to 2. A lot of things kill me here. Supreme Verdict, not really the card I'm looking for here, but at the same time, they're now hellbent. Attacking with the colony doesn't really shorten the clock, so... Yep. Okay, let's see what you target. Presuming lightning bolt. Of course. Yep. Alright, on to game number 3. It's possible I want one of timely reinforcements over something like Secure the Wastes. Probably want the second Kalitas. Question is, over what though? Like, they fill up their graveyard, so how many copies of Thought Scour do I actually want? Eh. Just supposed to be like an Esper Charm. Hopefully we can win this game in this match. It's been epic either way. Come on, deck. Guess I'd like to play first. Sand seems fine. Excuse me. Delver Royal Scions. Okay. Let me guess. Discard spell? Yep. Guess I'm going to lose my path to exile here. Yep. Last turn. Now I haven't answered everything but Delver, but I suspect they would have let on Delver on one if they had it. So I suspect they're going to try to jam an Arcanist here. Or maybe a discard spell. So, because Delver's like the one thing we can't answer. Sure, there's the Delver. The problem is if we just let the Thoughtseize resolve, and they can just clear the path for something like Royal Scions anyway. So, alright. Really shouldn't have taken that damage, but it does give us the option to snap path the end of turn if possible. So, also allows us to purge Royal Scions this turn. That card's going to be annoying. No matter how you twist it, that Inquisition's going to be annoying. Path, take care of this Delver. I think in most of these long games we're generally favored. And they didn't cast the Inquisition. Interesting. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. I think I'm just going to go ahead and main phase this, because we know our opponent has Inquisition, so if they want to resolve something, they're going to resolve something. Okay. Sure. Just Tasker coming down. feels like Royal Silence, maybe? Kolaghan's command's definitely annoying. Drown in the lock. No, I have the spell snare, so opponent has more cards than we do. That's not a good sign. Alright, Snapcaster's a decent one here. Opponent doing the old second main phase trick. That covers the most. It's not a terrible one. Sure. Interesting timing. Not quite lethal next turn, but certainly hurts. Sure. Okay. I think this could just be a GG situation, friends. Alright, no copies of Fatal Push in the graveyard, so I think we'll just go ahead and do attacks. Excuse me. Probably should have played my island anyway. Okay, command. What? 2 damage, discard a card, sure. Don't think there's any particular way our opponent can come back in this game, at least given the time. Like, given card advantage, they can certainly come back, but given time, I think they're just going to lose anyway. So, sure. Yep. Snapcaster, Lightning Bolt, Cletus. Mm-hmm. Yep, down to 2. And game is over. So, -1. Yeah, because the thing doesn't want to let us draw cards. So, unfortunately, that's it for match number 3. But it looked like we were in shape to possibly win the game. Either way, opponent just had to close out the game. Was behind on time. So, on to match number 4. Back here for match number 4. I think this hand seems reasonable. Question becomes, I guess I can lead on Tar Pit, because I need the black mana. Could be Burn. Burn might indicate that I need to deploy. Nope, not Burn. Okay. So, discard spell. Sure. Some type of Marduta Shadow list, potentially. Takes Drown in the Lock. Interesting. So, beyond that, trying to set up a little Liana here. Interesting. Sure. Probably gonna lose Snappy here. That's a pretty reasonable draw. Thrown in the Lock. Interesting. Curious why they shock themselves in here. Lightning Helix? Oh, okay. Still confused as to what's going on here. Definitely feels like Death Shadow. Okay. Okay, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Create a 1/1. A command? Feels like a command. Scour, not particularly relevant. Cryptic command's fairly nice. Sure. Okay. Yep. Couldn't path this one. I don't really have a way to truly leverage a ton of lands. Okay. Once again, kind of a slow clock, but my only complaint about this deck in certain spots. Don't particularly care about that one. Oh, Twined. Could have at least thought scoured, I suppose, there. Okay, Cryptic Command, not terrible. Snapcaster Mage, pretty good. Sure. You know, card's not resolving? That one. Go and shock that in. Gives us access to Snap Cryptic. Gives us access to Entwined Kaya's Guile. A whole bunch of other stuff. And our opponent scoops it up. We're interested in the Purges. Tide Hollows, Paths, Brutalities, Fulminators, Lingering Souls. So what cards am I not interested in here? Like, Cletus is a little slow. Not a ton of 2-drops, so Spell Snare might actually be a cut here. I think I might be interested in the Kalidases. Probably shave a Cryptic Command. Is Force of Negation worth shaving? Forces might be worth shaving. And then... I think especially on the draw, I'm interested in the snares. Generous Gift doesn't feel like the right kind of card. Ashiok feels a little too slow. I mean, this hand's alright. When your opponent has like a billion discard spells, it's really kind of hard to aggressively mulligan. Sure. Okay, sure. Could have Fulminator Mages. I mean, might be worth fetching some amount of basics. I mean, here comes the Tide Hollow Sculler. You're playing against a deck with basically 11 discard spells. It's really kind of hard to fight through it sometimes. Nope, just Thoughtseize, sure. So turn 2 Death Shadow. One of the disadvantages of not specifically running copies of Fatal Push, this kind of situation. Could have played Mystic Sanctuary there, I guess. Of course you have another one. Why wouldn't you, right? Now they have the problem of spot removal versus... Sure. That was a mistake on my part, but I don't think it's going to matter here. We're just dead to the situation we're in. Yep, dead to Exacxes. Esper Charm. Oh well. Obviously there's some consideration for that. Maybe I'm supposed to bring in timely reinforcements. Definitely has to have scholars in his list, so maybe board out a logic knot here. Call it a day. Just hard to beat that specific draw sometimes. So mulligan, unfortunately. This likewise is a mulligan. I mean, yeah, this hand's gotta make do here. Probably put back Kalidas and... Definitely putting back Kalidas. What's the other put back? Snapcaster Mage for now? Yep. Sure. Just doing that too. Yep. Here comes the Scholar that we figured that had. Probably have to take Kaya's Guile here. Interesting. Guess I should have done the thing with them. Yeah, I'm taking the hit. I don't really care about 2 incidental damage here. What you got there, friend? Take Purge. Alright. 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 A lot of cards in our opponent's deck get around this card right now. Yep, that's one of them. Why wouldn't they... Okay, sure. No red mana, that's interesting. Delightful. Might lose this match simply because things and stuff. Sure. There's Revelation that way, which is annoying. I think we're already in a world of trouble here, so... Especially when they play cards like Lightning Bolt in their deck. Do you have the Bolt? Looks like you do from the way you're playing. You do. Yep. Alright, well, 2 and 2. It's a bit unfortunate here. See what we would actually potentially draw in here. Absolutely nothing. Alright, on to match number 4. Here we are for the 5th and final match in this set. Interesting hand. I guess we're supposed to keep it. Oh, Amulet, delightful. So we're dead. Sure. Goodbye, cards. Okay. That's a good start. And concession. Nice. Alrighty then. So, Prime Evil Titan. Amulet Titan. Alright, so, cards are we interested in? Purge doesn't do a whole lot in this matchup. Stroke seems fine. Ashioks seem alright. Generous Gift might be okay. Drown in Lock is debatable. Force of Negation, there isn't a ton to negate in their deck, but there is some relevant stuff. Secure the Waste, into the story, blah blah blah. Are there any 2-drops in their deck that we particularly care about? I guess Once Upon a Time, potentially. But I don't think that's worth fighting over necessarily. Other cards that could be potentially cut. Secure the Wastes probably doesn't do a ton. Drown in Lock. Or 2, maybe. Try it like that. It could obviously have something like Field of the Dead as well. I think this hand's gonna be as good as we're gonna try here. Yep. Go figure. Larry West, sure. So there's a decent chance we get prime timed here. Yep. Okay. Something like a good old mull to 6 and dying on turn 3, eh? Let's just move on. We're dead this turn, okay? Needless to say, we're dead. Alright, so Force of Negation actually takes on more meaning now that I'm thinking about it, simply because a lot of their copies of Titan are actually copies of Pact of Negation, so Force of Negation actually takes on a slightly different meaning there. Select to be first. This hand doesn't do anything. We have Drown in the Lock against a deck that doesn't put any cards in their graveyard. This hand also does not do anything. Lack of lands is a real problem with this hand. This hand sort of does stuff, but also not really. Get rid of Esper Charm and Snappy, I guess. Alright. Alright, how many Path to Exiles can I draw? Sure. Sure. Go. Let them search first. So stupid. See. Okay. Great. We have another Primeval Titan. I'm kind of skewered here. You seriously have another one? Come on, Dex, seriously. Alright, that was a fun game. Not. Alright, back in 1 second with the wrap up. So here we are for the wrap up on Esper Drown in the Loch, however you want to, Esper Loch, however you want to call it. Couple of thoughts on the deck. I think the biggest losses we suffered tend to be to either color screw or not having enough lands. One of the issues with running Thought Scour, which obviously you kind of have to do to enable Drown in the Loch, is you're not consistent at hitting your land drops. It's not usually as big a deal in most of the decks that are running things like Thought Scour, decks like Death Shadow or Delver decks or that kind of stuff. Anything that's trying to enable those style of strategies, they tend to run a low number of decks anyway and can operate kind of on a low count. We're a deck that's trying to leverage things like Cryptic Command, Snap Cryptic Command, Snap Esper Charm. Not saying there's not a lot of cantrips in this deck. I'm not saying there's a lot of early interaction. I'm simply saying I noticed our two biggest issues is the slow clock and the occasionally getting color screwed / land screwed. Felt like there were a lot of situations there maybe I didn't take the correct line, but it seems like our biggest amount of losses were due to not hitting land drops in the early turns. There's a lot of very powerful things going on with this deck once you hit the mid to late game, as long as you're hitting your land drops. So I would say one of the biggest takeaways is maybe find some other way to hit land drops consistently in the early turns, be it ops, something along those lines. The concept of the deck is fairly solid. We could easily have gone 3-2-4-1 with a little bit better land consistency there. Having to mull to 5 in a couple of crucial game 3s really hurt a lot, both against Mardu's Shadow and against Amulet Titan. Beyond that, I do like what the deck's doing. Yeah, it takes a little while to close out, but being able to play everything at flash speed Seems pretty reasonable. Breakdown of spells is pretty good. I like a lot of what's going on. So, good job, Space Marine. I do apologize that we couldn't get a better result, but, we did do the best we could with some of the draws we had. I'm sure there were a few misplays on my part. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the best controller in the world, but special thanks to Space Marine for featuring one of his lists again. As always, it's a pleasure to play his decks. But one of the reasons I can't consistently play Control, especially in a format like Modern, is it just feels like you miss your land drops, you die. Happens with Burn, but Burn's a little less frustrating because you only need 1, 2, 3 lands to operate, and a lot of the decks that I run in Modern over the years, decks like Is It Phoenix, Burn, Tron to a certain extent, those decks tend to be either able to find lands very easily, or they run on a low land count anyway, so it really doesn't matter. As long as you can operate on 2 or 3 lands, you're good. The thing with control decks is they're mana hungry. It doesn't matter if it's standard, modern, vintage. They are very hungry for mana. And if you don't hit your land drops, you die. I mean, the control mirror that we lost was in part because we missed land drops. The losses to Marty Shadow and Amulet Titan were also in part due to missing land drops. You see the games where we hit our land drops, we competed and won quite a bit of them. So that's the biggest takeaway from this list. As always, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. For those of you that have slogged through this entire long video, I appreciate it. And we'll definitely have some more Burn content coming out later this week. As always, if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe down below.